everybody, welcome back. My name is Catherine Hubert. I'm the owner here at Chez Genèse. I'm not going to go through our whole spiel again today. I'm going to trust that you've either been with us for a little bit or you can read down below and see what we're all about. We're going to dive straight into our content for today, and we are talking about examining our own bias around disability. So, not a light topic, not something that you may be expected to dive into today. However, I think it's an important part of this process and the journey that we're on in understanding and being more aware of our own belief system around disability. So, let's do it. We're doing this together. I said this last week and I'll repeat it again today, that this is not me teaching you, this is not me being the expert in this area or topic. This is me learning alongside with you. It has been a challenging, and I anticipate will continue to be a challenging process of confronting and identifying my own bias and beliefs. But my hope and my heart is that we can do that together as a team, as a community, to build more self-awareness and to identify how our thoughts and belief systems are impacting or dictating our actions. Those things are connected. A lot of times we may say we believe one thing, but our actions or our words are actually communicating something different. I think that happens a lot in the world of disability education and advocacy. And so we're going to talk about it, knowing that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm sure we will come back and look on this and see all the ways that we still missed things and had so much room to grow, but we don't want to delay the process of growth by trying to wait until we have it all completely figured out, because that's probably unrealistic and impossible to begin with. All right, so bias. What is bias? Well, it can be a swing in the direction of favor or disfavor towards another person or group. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be negative. It can be where you're biased towards someone or biased against someone. Both can happen within the world of disability, but most likely, and more of what we're going to focus on today, are bias that we have against disability. Some of those are a little bit sneaky and secretive in terms of they might not be as easily identifiable or recognized in your life or in the lives of others. We're not going to cover all of them today because we don't have time to, but it is something that we talked about yesterday in our leadership team meeting. So these are actually our notes from our leadership team meeting yesterday, and I'm just going to include them in here behind me so that I can reference them, but you can also be a part of this messy process a little bit with us. We talked yesterday as a team about bias that we may hold or that we experience or see played out here in the restaurant. And then this was starting the beginning formation of a list that we created, and we're going to continue that conversation in the coming weeks. So this list is not complete, but it is a starting point, and my hope today is to just get your wheels turning a little bit to, with as much curiosity and kindness towards yourself and other humans as possible, just look at, well, how am I perceiving this, or what am I believing or thinking about this? That's the first step. The first step is just becoming aware, and then in coming weeks we'll talk a little bit more about how we can actually change or rewrite some of those beliefs or switch around some of those bias. One of the things that we put up at the top is we see a bias toward disabled humans by giving help or making exceptions, and oftentimes without being asked. So it can be very easy and happens frequently within our culture that non-disabled humans will just automatically step in to help or provide an exception for a disabled human, and that can be harmful in different ways. But it takes away some of the autonomy, takes away a lot of the autonomy and the independence and self-worth of that person by not asking for permission or consent, or not being asked to help in the first place, and just assuming that your help is wanted. Next, this is another thing that we hear or experience here in the restaurant, is people telling us that we're doing a good thing. We're going to dive more into that. It could be several of its own, I think, topics, and we'll dive into that a little bit more, because I hold a lot of curiosity, and our whole team does, around what is the good thing? Like, when people say you're doing a good thing, what is that good thing that is being referred to? Empowerment, pushing someone to think through things independently. A narrative that I have seen expressed and spoken over disabled humans regularly is that they are not capable or unable to do specific tasks or life functions. Depending on the amount of time that narrative has been spoken in the different contexts, length of time, I think I said that twice, etc., that can really take a toll on someone's self-confidence and their understanding of their own self-worth and capabilities. Again, that kind of ties into the giving help or making exceptions, where a lot of times the obstacle can just be removed by a non-disabled person for a disabled person, and that is not always helpful or beneficial. And that can create then an odd power dynamic, but also then this idea that there needs to be approval, or decisions need to be made by someone who does not have a disability. So here, the empowerment piece is that when I have teammates come to me and ask for me to make a decision or to do something for them, as much as possible, I try to hand their power back to them. You are intelligent. I trust you to make this decision. What are your thoughts? What do you think we should do? Tell me what your gut says. Okay, let's go with that. How would you solve this problem? Or how can I, if someone says, can you help me? Be like, how can I help you? What do you need support with right now? And then if it's, I need support with this, this, and this. Okay, how about I work on this while you go complete this and this? And then there's teamwork that is facilitated. And in that process, my hope is to extend respect and equip my team to fully stand in who they are and the capabilities and the intelligence that they have, and to become more confident and comfortable in making those decisions themselves. That it's not always specific to teammates that I have who do have disabilities. That can go across the board. It's an across the board goal. Infantilization, this bias or thought that someone with a disability is childlike or needs to be treated or talked to as if they have the comprehension or retention of a child. That can also translate into talking down to or talking around and avoiding someone with a disability. Discomfort, not being sure how to say something, not being sure what to say, and so instead of addressing the person with a disability directly, talking to someone that's perceived to not have a disability around them. And that's where we get into invisible versus visible disabilities. Just because someone doesn't look like they have a disability doesn't mean that they don't, and vice versa. So that's another bias that disability is apparent and is visible. It is not always the case, and that can be damaging to try to make those distinctions based off of appearance only, and honestly, why the hell does it matter in the first place? And then boundaries. Not having the same level of social respect for someone with a disability, either overcompensating for that person or bubble wrapping and trying to protect them, which can also somewhat tie into that infantilization concept, but either over-explaining, speaking more loudly, speaking more clearly, trying to over-explain or fill the space or silence if that has taken place, or kind of child-proofing, bubble wrapping, like, you're so delicate and tender, I can't actually communicate with you directly, which is very degrading and not helpful. So those are examples of some of the bias that we're starting to recognize and address in ourselves, times where we jump in to just help or support when it's not being asked. That was something that our leadership team addressed as an area for us to grow in. And then identifying as a team instances where bias may be showing up towards us, and how do we stand up for ourselves? How do we stand up for each other? A great example of that was one of our chefs expressed someone coming up from the table to the kitchen and asking her for something that could have and should have been easily communicated to their server. And the implication, and also what was verbally expressed, was they didn't think that their server could take care of it for them. And so my chef actually saying, I'm not the person who's going to be able to best help you here. Your server is actually the one who knows the answer and who's going to be able to assist you the best. And then getting some pushback about that and saying, I'm sorry, I cannot help you with this. You need to take it up with your server. Which puts respect back onto the server, the capability, the strength, the intelligence that they do have, and encourages someone to actually step into that process, that relationship, that interaction, even if for whatever reason that's causing some level of discomfort or awkwardness in them. That's where I want us to end, and where I want to challenge us is that when we notice that level of discomfort or awkwardness, not making that someone else's responsibility. That is not someone else's responsibility. That is our responsibility to hold our own discomfort and awkwardness. And then that's an invitation to get curious and say, why am I feeling this way right now? What led to that? What do I want to do about it? How can I be kind towards myself in the process of exploring why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, not being judgmental or harsh to yourself and being like, man, I'm such a jerk because I blah, 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 whatever. Then we go into that shame spiral and we don't actually become productive and allow ourselves the space or the opportunity to learn and to listen to ourselves or to other people. So that would be my push and my invitation as we close out this week. What are some ways that you may be biased for or against someone with a disability or the disability community as a whole? And then don't just go out and try to fix it all. That's not what I'm saying to do. What I'm asking and inviting us to do together is to become curious about that. Where did that bias stem from? Where has it been reinforced? How are we seeing that play out in our life? And exploring the idea that there can be another narrative available to us, which we will talk about more next week. So thanks for being here. We so appreciate you and your willingness to be on this journey with us. And yeah, we'll catch you next week.